the one player who could contain Shaq, ending the Shaq and Kobe era. Shaquille O'Neal is one of the NBA's best big men of all time, and arguably the most dominant player to ever set foot on the court. The Diesel punished defenders in the post, using his unfair 7'1", 325-pound frame to score at will in the paint. His brute strength and uncanny athleticism made him a matchup nightmare for opposing teams. Over the course of his 21-year career in the league, Shaq put together one of the most impressive resumes ever. The legendary center finished with 15 All-Star appearances, 4 championships, 3 Finals MVPs, the Rookie of the Year award, and 1 MVP award. But from 1999 to 2002, Shaq was on a different level. Over the course of those 3 iconic seasons, he won 3 titles with the Lakers and averaged 28.5 points, 12.3 rebounds, and 2.6 blocks per game. He won Finals MVP in all 3 championship series, reminding the sport world that he was the best player in basketball at the time. Shaq's 1999 to 2000 season in particular may be the best individual campaign by any center in NBA history. He won the scoring title with his 29.7 points per game and shot a ridiculously efficient 57% from the field. However, Shaq finally met his match when the Lakers met the Pistons in the 2004 NBA Finals. The Lakers were ready to win their 4th ring in 5 years, but Detroit had other plans. And they had a secret weapon on their side. His name was Ben Wallace. Wallace had a strange path to the NBA, especially for someone who achieved such success in the league once he got there. He played college basketball at Division II Virginia Union University, where he didn't receive much draft buzz despite averaging 12.5 points and 10.5 rebounds his senior year. Luckily, the Wizards, who were then known as the Bullets, took a chance on him and signed him as an undrafted free agent in 1996. Wallace didn't see the court often in DC, starting in just 32 games in his 3 seasons there. But in 1999, the Wizards traded him to the Orlando Magic, where he started in all 81 games and averaged 8.2 rebounds per game. Then in 2000, Orlando traded Wallace to the Pistons in a deal that sent Grant Hill to the Magic. It was in Detroit where Wallace would become known as one of the best defensive players in the NBA at the time. Though he was just 6'9", the 240-pound Wallace used his physicality and instincts to protect the paint and anchor a stifling Detroit defense, alongside lockdown defenders like Tayshaun Prince and Rip Hamilton. He would average 2.9 blocks over his 5 seasons with the Pistons, including a league-leading 3.5 rejections per game from 2001 to 2002. While Wallace took over as Detroit's de facto starting center, the Pistons missed the playoffs in 2001. Wallace would win Defensive Player of the Year and make the All-NBA third team in 2002, and lead his team to the playoffs, where they fell to the Celtics in the second round. He cemented himself as a top-tier NBA player in 2003 when he won a 2nd consecutive Defensive Player of the Year award and improved his rebounding to 15.4 per game. Yet, Detroit came up short in the playoffs again, losing to the New Jersey Nets in the conference finals. Wallace's continual improvement, the addition of Rasheed Wallace, and the hiring of new head coach Larry Brown resulted in 54 wins and a trip to the finals for the Pistons in 2004. Wallace would finally get his chance to face off against Shaq and prove that O'Neal wasn't unstoppable. Detroit was viewed as an underdog in the series. Few believed they could take down this legendary Lakers squad led by O'Neal and the burgeoning talent that was Kobe Bryant. The Lakers held home court advantage in the series, and they had faced little resistance en route to the finals. The Pistons, on the other hand, had faced scares against the Nets and Pacers in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. But the Pistons shut down their critics with a decisive 87-75 Game 1 win in LA. However, O'Neal would get the better of him in that game, dropping 34 points and 11 rebounds while missing just 3 shots. Wallace finished with 9 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks in the win. The Lakers bounced back in a highly contested Game 2, beating the Pistons 99-91 in overtime to even up the series 1-1. Once again, Wallace was unable to handle Shaq, who scored 29 points and grabbed 7 rebounds. Then, the Pistons shocked the basketball world in Game 3, blowing out LA by a score of 88-68, marking the lowest number of points the Lakers had ever scored in a playoff game. Wallace finally made Shaq work for the points he scored in the paint, limiting him to just 14 points on 7 for 14 shooting in the series-altering victory. Wallace himself would contribute 7 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Detroit took a decisive 3-1 series lead by winning Game 4, 88-80, at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Though Shaq put on a show, finishing with 36 points and 20 rebounds on 16 for 21 shooting, the Pistons were able to hold on thanks to a team effort led by Ben and Rasheed Wallace. Ben shot an abysmal 4 for 14 from the free throw line, but he contributed 8 points and 13 rebounds in the crucial win. Finally, in Game 5, the Pistons took down the Lakers 100-87 on the road, winning their first championship since 1990. Wallace's defensive prowess came through in the end, and he held Shaq to just 20 points and 8 rebounds in the series-clinching win. Not only that, but Wallace himself would have his best all-around performance of the finals, finishing with an amazing 18 points, 22 rebounds, and 3 steals. Wallace may not have shut down O'Neal in every game of the series, but he gave the Pistons a chance to win by making Shaq work for his points. For O'Neal, it was rare to finish with anything less than 20 points and 10 rebounds, especially considering he averaged 21.5 points and 11.5 boards in the regular season. But Ben held him to 20 or less twice, and to 8 rebounds or less 3 times, finally proving that it was possible to rein in Shaq in the paint. Wallace would eventually meet up with Shaq again in 2005. O'Neal was now playing alongside Dwayne Wade on the Heat, and the Pistons were looking to make it back to the finals. Ben would display a great defensive effort against the Diesel for a second time, leading the Pistons to win the series in 7 games. He held Shaq to 20 or fewer points in 4 games, and held him to single-digit rebounding in 5. Wallace himself would only total 1 triple-double and finish with double-digit points just once, but he'd once again eliminate one of the best big men of all time from the playoffs. Wallace would go on to put together a stellar career, albeit one slightly marred by the fiasco that was the Malice at the Palace in November of 2004. In addition to his 2004 title, he compiled 4 All-Star appearances, 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 5 All-NBA nods, and 6 All-Defensive Team appearances. Despite coming from a Division II school and having to work his way into an NBA rotation, Wallace would become one of the best defensive big men in the history of the NBA. While few will remember Shaq for his losses, Ben Wallace's valiant efforts against the Lakers center in 2004 and 2005 will go down in history as 2 of the best defensive performances we've ever seen. Ben was one of the first defenders to ever challenge O'Neal and make him appear human in the prime of his career. Wallace's underdog story will provide inspiration for undervalued and undersized players for years to come. Any other players we should put the spotlight on? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, now that you're here, leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you've enjoyed this video. And remember, turn notifications on to receive more amazing sports content. We hope you enjoyed our video. See you next time at Baller Central.